Okay, Ashes of Creation's subscription model won't be sustainable in the long run, and the signs are becoming harder to ignore. TheoryForge recently released a detailed video breaking down the Steam Early Access numbers, and it's worth paying attention to. He's proven reliable in the past. He predicted the Steam release well before it was public knowledge. So if you haven't watched that video yet, the link is in the description. Go ahead and go and check it out after this video. For our purposes here, though, we're zeroing in on the final third of his analysis, where he digs into the revenue figures from early access sales. Based on the data he has, he estimates that the current cash flow from Steam gives Intrepid Studios about 3 to 5 months of runway at their present development burn rate. That's a meaningful chunk of time for polishing systems and addressing bugs, but it's an extremely narrow window when you're trying to transition from a rough alpha state into a more complete, playable beta that can actually attract and retain a large audience leading into the full launch. Let's look at the player numbers for context. Just over a week ago on January 13th, concurrent players fell below 20,000 for the first time since the early access launch. This drop likely ties directly to the large-scale ban wave that targeted cheaters and exploiters, but even setting that aside, the overall trend has been steadily moving downward. We're now about a month past the December 11th early access release, and the population decline is clear across multiple servers. When player count gets this low, it starts to threaten the core promise of Ashes of Creation. A living, player-driven economy where supply, demand, crafting, and trade all rely on a healthy, active population. If servers become ghost towns with too few people online at any given time, that economy collapses under its own weight. No buyers for crafted goods, no caravans worth protecting, no meaningful settlement progression. That's not just a minor inconvenience, it's existential for the kind of game Intrepid has been building towards. On Resna, if you ride to Kaltorum and try to get some journeyman weaving done, you'll see what a low population will do to an entire settlement. And for some reason, the idiot mayor in Miralith thought we needed another smithy instead of a tailor in the Riverlands. Anyway, on top of the population issues, the community feedback channels, especially Reddit, are overflowing with complaints. Threads detailing bugs, performance problems, economy imbalances, and design frustrations are piling up daily. Meanwhile, Intrepid's communication has gone quiet in a way that directly contradicts their long-standing promises of transparency, frequent updates, and genuine player involvement in development. When the developers go silent during a rocky period like this, it leaves a vacuum that gets filled with more negativity. New or potential players doing their research see those posts first, and it shapes their expectations before they even purchase the game. That creates a vicious cycle. Fewer new signups, faster churn among existing players, and an even harder road to recovery. Vladis raised an excellent point in his last video that was on my mind also. The team, Intrepid, would benefit enormously from more proactive, straightforward communication about upcoming changes. Before implementing major adjustments, whether to crafting, combat, settlement mechanics, or anything else, they could share the reasoning with the population, the proposed direction, and invite feedback about that decision. That simple step would let them gauge community reaction early, avoid backlash from surprises, and build trust. Equally important, they need to stop the pattern of overcorrecting. Too many times we've seen a problem get patched aggressively, only for the fix to create new issues that then require another rollback or a hotfix. That back and forth burns valuable development time. With only a few months of funding runway left before beta becomes a necessity, they have to adopt a more deliberate approach. Measure twice, cut once, test thoroughly, and avoid knee-jerk reversals. The game is in a genuinely precarious position right now. It's not polished or feature complete enough to be called a beta, but the revenue clock is ticking down. A successful beta launch could reverse the momentum by bringing back lapsed players and attracting newcomers with fresh promises of progress. Unfortunately, one of the biggest selling points on the Steam page, The Harbinger system, which is supposed to drive dynamic world events and high-stakes gameplay, is effectively non-existent. Players can't access the event because it permanently flags players for PvP and as a result has been disabled for weeks. We have no clear answer for what their plan is for the Harbinger's event because Intrepid isn't communicating. That lack of clarity damages credibility. When they eventually pitch beta features to the community like improved hunting mechanics, a main story questline, or better PvP incentives, or expanded settlement warfare, how many players will believe those promises will actually arrive on time and in working order? Trust is very hard to rebuild once it's been eroded like this. Dedicated veterans who have followed the project for years can point to real progress since Phase 3. Static gathering rarities were reworked, the recipe system received adjustments, numerous gear bugs were addressed, and the crate system was introduced to add progression layers. Those changes matter to the people grinding daily, but for the average new player or casual returnee, none of that shows up in the experience. They log in, encounter instability, run into the same frustrations everyone else is posting about, and leave. What they care about is simple. Is the game fun right now? Is it stable? Right now, the answer for many is no. PvP has suffered the most visible decline over the past year. Without strong built-in incentives for open-world conflict, most PvP activity boils down to opportunistic Kraid Mule ambushes or bored high-level players hunting down anyone who accidentally flags purple. That's not the thriving, meaningful PvX endgame that Ashes promised. It's sporadic and often feels punitive rather than rewarding. In its current state, the game shines brightest as a farming and crafting simulator where players can spend hours gathering, processing, and trading without ever needing to engage in combat. That's enjoyable for some players, but it doesn't align with the vision of a world where risk and reward are intertwined. Reddit threads offer a raw window into the current reality and likely foreshadow the endgame if things don't change. One post described a level 13 player getting relentlessly trained and camped in Oakenbane while trying to level. Classic new player deterrence. Another told of a level 23 getting corruption baited, losing 3 pieces of hard-crafted gear, and rage quitting on the spot. Then there are the stories of players spending 4 days straight farming wood just to craft a single epic bow. These anecdotes aren't isolated. They form the reputation Ashes carries right now, and reputations like that are sticky. They deter newcomers and frustrate those still holding on. TheoryForge wrapped up by highlighting the long-term math on subscriptions. As the active player base shrinks, monthly recurring revenue would drop accordingly. No one is paying now, but we can extrapolate the numbers for the day that they do. That would put pressure on the studio, tighter budgets, potential layoffs, or reduced hiring, slower bug fixes, and delayed feature rollouts. Server performance still struggles during peak events after years. Bots and hackers persist despite ongoing efforts. RMT markets thrive and cheating incidents continue. The response to these problems has been steady but slow, and that pace is costing Intrepid the goodwill of its players. When players feel the game isn't being protected or improved quickly enough, they migrate to other titles that offer a smoother experience. It doesn't help that many people say, go play something else. You can probably find that in the comments below, and it doesn't help. It's not, if you encourage people to leave your game, people are going to leave your game. With a smaller population slowly losing players, financial numbers will naturally be lower than hoped. That reality supports my speculation that Ashes may pivot away from a pure subscription model towards a hybrid approach similar to Where Winds Meet. A free-to-play or low-cost base game with a cosmetic shop and a battle pass system. This would let them monetize the dedicated whales who already spend heavily on RMT markets, while keeping the experience accessible for everyone else without requiring extra payments for basic play or progression. At the same time, increasing their own revenue by not solely relying on a subscription model that can be clearly monitored by player retention. Finally, that 3 to 5 month revenue means a wipe is likely coming sooner than most expect. The holiday dupe exploit severely disrupted the economy, and weeks of non-stop crate runs using alts flooded the market with gold. To properly rebalance crafting progression, settlement boons, recipe interdependencies, quality tiers, and resource loops, the team will almost certainly need a fresh economy reset. That requires a clean slate with new and old players starting on equal footing again. There's a lot of systemic tuning ahead, and it can't be done effectively without wiping progress. So take a moment to enjoy those level 25 characters while they're still relevant. The next phase is probably closer than you think, and not everybody is going to be happy about it. Anyway, that's all for today. You're welcome.